Heyo, it's OmniDog from OmniDog's Vault. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Uh, John, I believe his last name is Castile. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, John, but he came up with an idea of one and done books, standalone books, instead of books that, have 5 or 6 volumes to them. How about just one book you can read? Takes you maybe an hour, 45 minutes to read. It's a good experience and you're all done with it. You don't have to read all 7 trade paperbacks of it. So, John, that's a good idea. And I've found so many one and done books, as I'll call them, that I may need to make this 2 or 3 episodes. So, here we go. One and done's count, what doesn't count, I'm not going to count things like Absolute Justice or Absolute Kingdom Come. Those are contained stories, but I wanted to talk about some lesser known books or some thin trade paperbacks that are easy to read, things like that. So, omnibuses and absolutes, things like that, I'm not counting those, although they're great. I love them, of course, because I love collected editions. But I'm talking about collected editions of maybe smaller runs, and we will start out with. And another thing is, you don't. I don't want you to have 25 years worth of knowledge to understand what the book's going on about. The first book I'll talk about that's a great one and done. You don't need to know anything except that Thanos is a bad guy. That is Thanos Wins by Donny Cates. And this is a standalone book. You don't have to read anything before it or after it. It has wonderful art. It introduces the cosmic Ghost Rider, and it introduces old Thanos recalls young Thanos into the future. It's pretty amazing. The art is great and the story is great. It's a thin book, but boy, it packs a lot of story into it. And you don't have to have a whole huge amount of Thanos knowledge to know what's going on in it. Um, for the typical Marvel reader, you'd be fine. If you've seen the Thanos movie, you're fine. So, wonderful book. Thanos Wins. As long as we're on Marvel, this is a recommendation, a recommendation, the very first recommendation from Riley Moore, and it's a Marvel book, Worst X-Man Ever. Worst X-Man Ever by Max Bemis. And this book is a hoot and a half. It's about a kid that wants to be an X-Men, but his power is kind of different, and he considers himself to be the worst X-Man ever. Uh, this is a really good book. I've talked about this book a lot before, and I have nothing but good things to say about this book. I'm going to change my camera angle because I'm kind of goofed up here. There we go. Worst X-Men ever. Thin book. You can read it in half an hour or so, and it is a great experience. A lot of fun art and really well written. So this is a one and done book you can get into and really enjoy. And I will put everything I talk about in the YouTube little description box. I'll put all the books I'm talking about. And this gives me a chance to say, please hit the like button because apparently that's a big deal to YouTube algorithms, I guess. So please hit the like button if you like the video. Speaking of Max, here's a book by Max Landis. This is a DC book. I'm kind of cheating here because it's a collection of stories, but they all work together. It's called Superman American Alien. I've talked about this book before. It's also thin, it's also one and done, and it's really stories about Clark Kent and how he learns to be Superman. It starts in the beginning as with different artists, which is a really cool. He's got lots of really cool, good artists. So it takes him through his life mostly as Clark Kent, with a sprinkling of Superman in there, of course. And it's really good. I really enjoyed a lot Superman American Alien. It's really it's one of a kind. It almost made my uh, my almost top 10 all-time favorites. If I had a top 20, this would be in it. So maybe I'll make a top 20 list. Then, speaking of Superman, here's a one and done book that's very good, very different. Steven Siegel wrote It's a Bird. And Riley talks about this book a lot, and I got this book a number of years ago. Steven Siegel with art by the great Teddy Christensen. Steven Siegel is given the task, everybody's dream job, of writing Superman. This leads him into a bit of an existential crisis, and this becomes a book about what's going on in his life, why he feels he can't write Superman even though they want him to. And this book is tremendous. Looking at it, it reminds me that I haven't read it in a long time, and I have a feeling I'm going to be pulling about half these books out and rereading them as if I don't have enough reading to do already. But It's a Bird is an excellent book by Steven Siegel. So this is a one and done that I think you'd really like. Writers in Crisis, that brings up James Robinson's Airboy. This book is a hoot and a half. I think Mel and Anita Schumann recommended it to me. And it's by James Robinson, where he's having a crisis of his own where he's trying to write a book. And it's extremely humorous, really well drawn, really very funny. And I think it's another great book. I'm going to have to reread this too. This is a great one and done book from Image Comics, Airboy. James Robinson's Airboy. I think it's top notch. One and done. And a book I just did a review on. If you want just a kind of a fun, palate cleansing superhero comic that's one and done, very thin, take you no time at all to read, but it's got great writing and fabulous art. That would be Angela Asgard's Assassin. I just did a review of this and I really liked it. I think that you will too. If you're a Marvel fan or just a superhero fan, this is a really good book to read. And you can check out my review that I just did about why I like it so much, but I'm pretty sure you guys would like it too as a standalone story. Very thin book. I like these thin Marvel books. It's the standalone thin Marvel books are great. I really dig them. What's next? Let's see. Four kids walk into a bank. This is a one and done that's really, this has some of the sharpest, funniest writing. It is by, I think, Matthew Rosenberger. Matthew Rosenberg? Let's see. Matthew Rosenberg with Thomas Maurer. Writing Matthew Rosenberg. And it's about four kids that are planning a bank heist in physics class or chemistry class. I can't remember which one it is. But the art is interesting. I liked it a lot. And the dialogue is really snappy. Very funny. Very well done. Four kids walk into a bank. I've reviewed it before. This is a great standalone book that you guys could really get into. Another one and doneer would be I like this We Can Never Go Home. This is put out by Black Mask, and it's about two kids who seem to have superpowers and how they want to run away from home and get away from everything. It's a really good book written by, let's see who it's written by. Oh, now I'm blanking on it. Hang on. Written by, why am I not, written by, oh, Matthew Rosenberg and Patrick Kindlin. This is another Matthew Rosenberg book. He knows what he's doing. So I highly recommend We Can Never Go Home. This is as I said, about two kids who have superpowers and what it does to them and why they want to run away. And it's a really excellent book. And it's even got, I think, a mixtape that you can find like on Spotify. Let's see. We can returns and okay. So this book has a playlist and a mixtape on Spotify, stuff like that. Really cool covers that are here. Yeah, Spotify has a whole mixtape thing of We Can Never Go Home. So I think you guys would dig this book too. And another good standalone story, Thin Marvel Trade, that I really dig. It's by Warren Ellis. And it's about an inhuman named Karnak. His gift is he sees the flaws in all things. And the art is great. I think the world of Warren Ellis. I love just about everything he's written. But S.H.I.E.L.D. wants Karnak to work on a case, and it goes from there. This is an excellent, excellent book. I really loved it, and now that I look at it, I realize I want to read it again. This is bad for me. I'm finding about 25 books that I'm going to have to read again. But that's okay. That's the fun of holding on to them. I only hold on to the ones I want to reread, and Karnak is magnificent. The Flaw in All Things. Thin book. You can pop it out in about 45 minutes, I bet, or less, depending on how fast you read. And let's see. One more book, and then I am definitely going to have to do 2 or 3 episodes of these. Here's a good book. This one, Mitchell O'Brien from the Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community Group recommended this to me. I think it's one of Jason Aaron's very first books. It's called The Other Side. It was out of print for a long time. I believe that Vertigo first published it, and then it came over to Image. And it's about the Vietnam War, and that's kind of grisly. It's about the Vietnam War told from 2 different perspectives, Vietnamese and the American, and it's very, very well done. Very well done. I really enjoyed this book a lot, and this is a standalone book that it's a really good book, and we're really fortunate that Image put it out again because it was out of print for a while. And this is called The Other Side by Jason Aaron. So I've got enough books that I think I may have to do 3 of these. So I hope you're interested in this because there's 2 more that are coming up. So I will continue to do this, and I hope you got something out of that. If you want to, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Feel free to leave comments. And tell me some of your choices for single standalone books that are one and done. I'd be interested. Maybe I can find some new books because I don't have enough to read. So yeah, I'd be interested in your comments. I bet you guys have a lot to offer. So until a couple minutes from now, peace and love, peace and love.